On this part of your lesson, we're going to begin to teach you one of the most important aspects of being a good announcer. We're going to start teaching you how to be an actor with your voice. We don't necessarily mean that you must learn how to assume different parts in radio plays. What we mean is that we will teach you how to use your voice to put across different emotions that fit whatever subject you're announcing. For instance, a serious, authoritative mood is usually called for when you announce a newscast. Different moods, sometimes lighthearted, sometimes sentimental, sometimes enthusiastic, are called for when announcing musical programs. First, let us talk about 3 very common speaking faults that spoil the effect of any mood the announcer may be trying to create. These faults lie somewhat in the field of pronunciation. The first of these speaking faults is the pronunciation of the word the as thee. In ordinary speech, everyone says the unless they are trying to add very special emphasis to the thing they're describing. For instance, you might say, I walked past the drugstore. But if you were talking to a policeman about a car involved in a hit-and-run accident, and that same car drove past you, you might say to the policeman, that was the car that did it. Now, the peculiar thing is that many people, when they're called upon to read aloud, are so anxious to pronounce every word properly that they read every the as thee. When a person says the word thee improperly, it is a sure sign of an amateur speaker. As you listen to your announcing course, you will notice that we use the and thee properly throughout. The second of the 3 speaking faults we are covering is almost exactly the same. When an amateur starts to speak in public, he says a instead of a. A dog this afternoon bit a man, and so on. Again, the letter is always pronounced a. A dog this afternoon bit a man. The third common speaking fault that upsets the mood you're trying to create is the same sound as the correct way to pronounce the letter A. This is the most common speech fault of all. Nearly everyone you know, when they're trying to tell you something, uses the sound for a pause. Gee, I'm not certain that he really carried those sacks out here. Again, the use of for a pause is the mark of an amateur. It is almost as though the speaker is afraid to be silent for an instant. He feels that he must keep the air filled with sound. Actually, brief silences are often very effective in creating the mood you're after. But an sound is never effective. It sounds like what it is, an admission that the speaker doesn't know what to say next. The only way to break this habit is to close the mouth the instant you must pause for any reason. Your slow, syllable-by-syllable reading aloud exercises with exaggerated mouth movements will help break the habit too, because the will be so obviously out of place during such reading. The fault appears in one other place too. That is at the end of words. Some people hang a faint sound on the end of almost every word they say. Listen carefully. I'm going to town. This happens when the speaker keeps pronouncing the word after the word has been completed. Again, this happens most noticeably when an amateur is trying too hard to pronounce each word carefully. As you go through the pronunciation lesson during the next month, and as you read aloud, make certain that you do not hang an sound on the end of your words.